And begin recording. So just asking everyone, please go ahead and mute your microphone if you are not one of our presenters, and we'll get started in just about 1 minute. All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the first day of our Resiliency 101 workshop series, Protecting Your Business from Disaster. My name is Kelly Flannery, and I'm the very proud president and CEO of the South Tampa Chamber of Commerce, and we are thrilled to be the first organization in our region to host a resiliency program such as today. Thank you, of course, to our presenting sponsor, the Tampa Hillsborough Expressway Authority, and I do have a few sponsors and community partners that I'd also like to thank. I do want to take a moment to also recognize Bo Giles. He's our membership manager here at the Chamber, and this week's events are his mastermind. This was something we started talking about more than a year ago here at the Chamber, before this very busy hurricane season, before the global pandemic. And so thank you to Bo for your leadership and foresight to bring this incredible topic and important information to our Chamber members and to the community. I'd like to take a moment to recognize a few of our sponsors quickly before we begin. Our media sponsors today, the Tampa Bay Times and the Tampa Bay Business Journal, two great partners of ours throughout the year. Our community partners who helped us put this incredible week of programming together, the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, the City of Tampa, USF Muma College of Business, and the Tampa Field Office for the FBI. We'd also like to welcome members today from the South Tampa Chamber, Plant City Chamber, Riverview Chamber, and the Tampa Bay LGBT Chamber, who also have members joining us here today. On behalf of the South Tampa Chamber of Commerce, we are excited to have Kara and Sarah from the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council here with us this morning. And should you have any questions during the presentation, please go ahead, use the chat and the Q&A function, and Bo will facilitate Q&A and some additional conversation following the presentation. I don't want to take any more time away from the incredible content that we have planned for you today. And so Kara and Sarah, please take it away. And thank you so much for the generosity of your time this morning.
Thank you, Kelly, and good morning, everyone. Sarah's going to be advancing slides for both of us. And so I'm Kara Wood-Sarah with the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, and I'm joined by my colleague Sarah Vitale, also with the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. And we're excited to join you this morning to present From Risk to Resilience, Preparing Your Business for Future Hazards. So first I wanted to, Sarah, if you could go to the next slide. Give you a bit of information about our organization. So we're a regional government and we serve the 6-county region that you see on the map there. So that's from Citrus down to Manatee County. And our role is basically convening the region, giving decision makers the opportunity to work with each other and work towards regional consistency. We have program areas in emergency management planning, environmental planning, and economic development research. And we are bringing members together in these counties and cities to give decision makers the opportunity for regionally consistent decisions and policies. One of our biggest programs right now is the Resiliency program. And you might be asking yourself, what exactly is resiliency? What we know is that we're seeing more storm events, hurricanes, and we're seeing small amounts of sea level rise. And we know that that could potentially get worse in the future. We've seen in the past 5 years, $27 million in property damages in Hillsborough County from storm events, including hurricanes, rain events, severe thunderstorms. And we've seen almost $1 billion in damages, including property damages and crop damages in our region in the past 5 years. So based on that and the data that we've collected, we know that resiliency is important. And for us, resiliency is a long-term and short-term planning process that prevents these damages, protects people, and protects businesses. Next slide, please. So the Florida Chamber Foundation has already acknowledged the importance of resiliency planning. In their 2030 plan, they have a resiliency goal that all Florida residents will be protected by a resiliency plan. And so in an effort to make our region more resilient, the Tampa Bay Regional Resiliency Coalition was formed. Thank you, Sarah. So the Regional Resiliency Coalition has 29 members currently, which are city and county governments. We also have almost, I think it's actually more now, 80 coalition partners. That's private organizations, nonprofits. And the goal of the Regional Resiliency Coalition is to work together and collaborate to make the region more resilient. Some of that has included mapping some of the risks that we know are going to happen. So on the left, you can see that we've started to map the risks in partnership with our Hillsborough, Pasco County, and Pinellas County metropolitan planning organizations. So those are the organizations responsible for transportation planning, especially long-range transportation planning. All of the 29 members that are currently part of the coalition have signed on to a memorandum of understanding, agreeing to collaborate on a regional resiliency plan. And part of that includes thinking about the risks that we have today and some of the risks that we have in the future. Next slide, please. So earlier this year in January, we had the first Regional Resiliency Summit that included our members from around the region, as well as people from outside of the region. We heard presentations from staff members in the Tampa Bay region, as well as outside of Florida in other parts of the country who are working on resiliency programs. We also heard from resiliency planners outside of the US. We heard from some planners in European regions. And so the second day of that summit included thinking about what would actually go in a regional resiliency action plan. And so the second day, we had our participants ranking priorities that they felt we should be including when we think about what resiliency looks like for our region. But you're probably wondering what resiliency looks like for a business. Next slide, please. And so if you're considering becoming a more resilient business, there are some steps that you can take that aren't as grandiose as the Resiliency Action Plan. One of them is joining with the South Tampa Chamber of Commerce. They are one of our resiliency partners, and they're going to be working with us and advocating for resiliency actions that make sense for the South Tampa businesses. So if you want to collaborate with them and let them know what your priorities are for resiliency in the South Tampa area, we would like to work with them, continue to work toward our regional action plan priorities. Additionally, you're going to hear some pretty great presentations throughout the rest of the week on some of the other hazards that affect businesses, including flooding, storms, hurricanes, and cyber threats. One of the biggest threats to businesses right now, since we're in hurricane season, is the threat of storm surge, wind damage, and the like from a hurricane, and thinking about how you would recover in the worst case scenario. And the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council has put together what we call Project Phoenix, and my colleague Sarah is going to talk a little bit about that, planning for the worst case scenario.
Thank you, Kara. I am really thrilled to share our latest hurricane preparedness resource, Project Phoenix 2.0, The Recovery. It is a tabletop exercise, hurricane simulation for Tampa Bay small businesses and emergency management agencies. It was created by the TBRPC with funding by the U.S. Economic Development Administration and in coordination agencies from throughout our 6-county Tampa Bay region. So before we jump into the Phoenix exercise, I'm actually going to take you back in time, almost 100 years ago, to the last time that our region was directly impacted by a major hurricane, a Category 3 or larger. And that was October 26, 1921. You may be familiar with the history of the Tarpon Springs hurricane. It was a Category 3, and it pushed an 11-foot storm surge into the bay. Homes and businesses were destroyed throughout the region, and 8 people died. And back then, the city of Tampa's population was 51,000 people, approximately, and St. Petersburg had approximately 14,000. So, you know, if we think about then compared to now we are one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas in the country. We're home to more than 3 million people. So it is fair to say that we have much more to lose. Here's a map of Category 5 hurricanes that have made landfall in the United States. And as you can see, we've been pretty lucky. We've been spared that worst case hurricane scenario many times before. But our region is one of the most at-risk areas in the country to be hit by a major storm, and that's for a few reasons. Most obviously, first off, because of our location. Our state is a peninsula, and our major cities are surrounded by water because of the geography of the bay. It's kind of like a peninsula within a peninsula. So there's that as an obvious concern. And then there's the reality that we're seeing a greater number of storms become major hurricanes. We're seeing Category 3 storms or higher due to the warming waters of the Gulf and of the ocean. So we live in paradise, but we know that it's critical to plan for the possibility of a major storm hitting our area. So that's why we created Project Phoenix 2.0, the recovery. It's a tabletop exercise. It's typically a 4-hour exercise where business owners and emergency management staff are together to learn from another across the table and assess our region's planning needs. It's done through a fictional storm scenario, Hurricane Phoenix, and it tells the story of a Category 5 hitting our region. It also uses video to make it feel like you're actually experiencing the impacts of Phoenix hitting our community. And you're walked through discussions about disaster recovery at different timescales. So leading up to the storm, the days following the storm, the weeks and months after Phoenix, and then all the way up to 1 year post Phoenix, and what types of decision making and things to be thinking through. So we don't have time to walk through the entire exercise, but I did want to show you some of the videos and the training tools that are included in Project Phoenix so that you can leave the session with a greater sense of urgency about preparing for these risks. And I also want to leave you with plenty of resources to help you prepare. And you know, it's one thing to talk about risks, but it's really another thing to see what could actually happen. So I want to take you through the short video together where we can watch Hurricane Phoenix come through. Moment.
And we have Category 1 Hurricane Phoenix just south of Jamaica now. Phoenix is currently expected to make landfall in the Yucatan Peninsula as a Category 2 storm, but of course, always, we are keeping a close eye on this system.
There has been a noticeable shift in the forecast track from the NHC overnight, which now brings Phoenix into our viewing area, possibly as a strong hurricane. Now is the time to begin those preparations, folks.
We have breaking news this morning if you're just joining us. The National Hurricane Center has upgraded our entire viewing area to a hurricane warning as Hurricane Phoenix is projected to make landfall as a major hurricane sometime tomorrow. Mandatory evacuations are in effect for all coastal regions. Forecasters say this storm could be one of the strongest ever to hit the Tampa Bay region.
We cannot stress enough how crucial it is that you finish your storm preparations tonight. Conditions will deteriorate rapidly tomorrow morning, and evacuation routes will quickly become impassable. Please don't take this lightly and heed all evacuation orders.
Folks, this is unfortunately the worst case scenario unfolding for the Tampa Bay area. Phoenix is now a Category 5 hurricane with maximum sustained winds at 160 miles an hour, but wind gusts up to 200 miles per hour. This is catastrophic. It is a historic storm and unfortunately making a beeline right now for our area.
We have a live look right now at North Tampa and Polk Street. I believe this is near Kawa Coffee, and as you can see, the storm surge has completely inundated downtown.
Law enforcement now is reporting that all bridges have been cut off by storm surge. We're looking at up to 20 feet of storm surge in some spots.
We're trapped on the 3rd floor of the Tampa General Hospital parking garage, and the storm surge is up to the 2nd floor of the hospital.
St. Petersburg is essentially an island right now.
A viewer from Brooksville is reporting roofs being torn off of businesses there, so this is a very important reminder that this is not just a coastal storm. We are seeing significant wind damage well inland.
unbelievable deaths coming through. Oh my goodness.
The damage this morning is unimaginable. The beaches are essentially gone.
The Howard Franklin Bridge is completely destroyed. I've never seen anything like this.
Officials are scrambling to clean up debris from local airports in order for supplies to be flown in. We are getting reports from Homosassa of residents trapped by downed trees.
There's not a single business that we've driven by that doesn't have significant damage.
Tampa General Hospital has told us that they are unable to receive any patients after the hospital suffered significant damage from wind and storm surge. The level of destruction out here is indescribable. It's going to be a very long road to recovery for the Tampa Bay area.
Bring this back. So wow, let's all collectively knock on wood and hope that we never have to face a storm like that. So what you just watched was what emergency management, meteorologists, and storm trackers really fear the most. That path of Hurricane Phoenix would absolutely devastate the Tampa Bay region with extremely high winds and storm surge. Included here in the map is the view of that path, and then on the left, and then what the search flood depth would be. And I include this link because it's an interactive tool that you can go to that website and plug in your business or home address and see what what the impacts of a storm like that at that path, at that strength, could be for your property. But as you saw, there would be considerable damage throughout the region, severe flooding, bridges impassable, power outages, and destruction of buildings. In the circle on the map is actually the South Tampa Chamber of Commerce, where Phoenix has brought in, it looks like a 12 to 15 foot storm surge. So immediately following the storm, you can imagine that a business owner's highest priority is going to be getting their doors back open. Most likely they're thinking about their own personal safety, their home and their family, the safety of their employees, and how this storm has impacted the community more broadly. They might be thinking, when is the power going to be back on? How am I going to drive through town with all of this flooding? Is my property still standing? What sort of damage am I looking at? Weeks and months later, they may be thinking, how am I going to rebuild? Will my business survive this? So the Phoenix exercise gives business owners an opportunity to think through some of those difficult questions in a safe setting through a fictional storm scenario where they can strengthen or make a plan if they don't have one yet and be better prepared in the face of a storm like this. In the Phoenix exercise, we show videos that feature true stories from business owners who experienced the devastation of Hurricane Michael in Mexico Beach, Florida back in 2018. Michael was a Category 5 hurricane that hit their community. So we had a unique opportunity to support and learn from another region in Florida who experienced that worst case scenario not very long ago. So I want to show these videos to you now. You'll meet 3 business owners who share their firsthand experiences and tips for how to prepare now. And we want to learn from them because it really could have been us. Moment.
that was some terrifying moments to ride that storm out. I mean, this storm took our family business. It took both of my sons' homes. It took 75% of our community and destroyed all of the structures. No other city experienced anything like ours as far as devastation. It was a terrible, terrible sight. Remember, my home and all the landmarks that I'm accustomed to referring people to, Miss Sue's house with the blue roof, John's house with the birdhouse, they were all gone. There were no landmarks. I mean, this is our livelihood. This is how we make a living. This is what we do every day. We come to work. And Michael's got it strode all over the ground, and so there were some. I mean, those are tough feelings when you're in your 70s to see that. You've worked all your life for that. I was crying on other people's shoulders just like they were crying on mine. I had some emotional issues that I just had to sort out. And I just had to sort of regroup. I had to pull back and I mean, when I say I withdrew, I did. I went literally either in my truck or in my bedroom or I had to gather my thoughts before I could even approach anybody. And I mean, even my sons. I mean, they were devastated. But the majority of the mom and pop business people, to me, they're the salt of the community. They're the backbone of a community. The people of this town are remarkable. We helped hunt for pictures or baby shoes or anything that people were trying to find. It just gave us a sense of togetherness that was sort of gave me some peace. Yeah, we lost a lot of things, but the best thing we can do is get busy, focus on putting our business back together, and that's exactly what we did. They gathered what they could, stored that away, and started making plans to get back to work.
I was prepared for a hurricane, but I wasn't prepared for all this. I wasn't prepared for my city to be devastated. I wasn't prepared to come home to a town that was flattened. And it reminded me of things I had seen on television with a bomb explosion or a tidal wave. It was unbelievable. I mean, my heart just sank because this was our little spot in paradise. I worked my way to the canal here where I kept my boat, and the canal was so full of debris, you could barely see that there was water in the canal. Off to my right, there were two boats sitting up on the hill here in the road. And there was another boat behind us that was pushed all the way almost to Highway 98. We were helping as much as we could until the day I got a phone call from the boatyard saying, you've got to come move your boat. And my question was, where am I going to put it? Fortunately for us, Captain Anderson's pier in Panama City Beach, they had a spot, and I was able to move my boat over there, park it, and we could start making repairs to my charter boat. So as a small business owner, I had to turn to the Small Business Administration, some of FEMA, those type of things to go, hey guys, I need help. So basically we had enough money to pay for a place to park our boat. Our insurance helped us with repairs, and we just kind of sat there and worked on helping the community, at the same time doing what we could to get our business at least to where it was floating. Through some blessings of a couple of my sponsors, we were able to purchase the boat behind us. And one of the main reasons we bought it is we could get out of town. I could put it on a trailer and haul it north. I believe that this is where the good in people really comes through. And the support that we got along with our community was overwhelming.
In Mexico Beach, every restaurant suffered either catastrophic or major damage, and coming back for us has been tough. It was a harsh reality. I didn't really venture out far from the house, maybe a 2-block radius that afternoon, but got up bright and early the next morning and walked the mile down to the restaurant site and found basically a pile of what was the townhomes across the street laying where our restaurant used to be. Very few items left from our restaurant on our site. They were half-mile inland from here. I wound up buying the concession trailer and having it built on my own. Unfortunately, my father passed away a couple of years ago, and I think this is where he meant for me to spend the money that he left me to get back into business. We went down and set up a little organization called Camp Happy Tummies, and we fed 1,500 meals a day for the next 6.5 weeks or so to the people of Mexico Beach, the first responders, the survivors, the volunteers, all that. You know, I'd get there before daylight and there back home after dark with a generator powering the one lamp in my refrigerator at home. And, you know, it was a great feeling to know that we were doing what little bit we could to help people in town, because there really wasn't a whole lot going on in that direction at that time. One pizza place did not come back. Sharon's Cafe, Toucan's, the big bar and restaurant on the beach, completely gone. We never, ever had a competition-based restaurant atmosphere in this town. Every single restaurateur to a man was there to help every other one. If you ran out of something, I got it, come get it. I don't want a person in town eating with me every meal, every week, all week long. You know, they need to go out and see the other people. If they like us enough to come back once or twice, bonus. But the thing is, you need to come to a town and experience more than just one place. Every morning at 11 when we turn the open sign on and you see there's a line of people outside the trailer, it's like, wow, that's great. It really is. It touches me, man. It really does.
When your time comes and you draw the short straw on a Category 5 storm, you need to be gone. You're going to be exposed to considerable damage or loss. Don't let that entrepreneurial spirit be a casualty of the hurricane.
My advice to every small business owner is have all your business documents somewhere that you can take with you. Have an exit plan of what you're going to do, how you're going to shut your business down to go through the storm.
Anyone in business, whether you're doing a restaurant, vacation rentals, or the boat charter captains, you have to find a way to be creative to do that. Kevin's doing sunset cruises instead of charging. Learn that post-disaster rules are different than they were before. You can make it. Everybody's resilient in their own way, but you gotta be willing to adapt and change.
You can download a loan document from the Small Business Administration now and have it so that when it's time, you fill it out and send it in. Make sure you've got plenty of insurance. Make sure you don't skimp on it. You've got to replace your business. You want to be covered.
Nobody who lives in the Gulf is going to be 100% safe from it at any time, ever. But if you have insurance, make sure your home is resilient in all the hurricane preparedness ways. Now I have hurricane windows as well as hurricane shutters. I have all the proper tie downs in my attic.
My youngest son, the owner of the business, he found some people to patch the roof. There was about 5 panels missing. All the big roll-up doors were blown out. Lee took the initiative to just frame those doors in, take an old door that we had in the warehouse and just put it in there like a storefront. We just were creative and innovative and found a way to take what we had, patch it up, and make the best of it.
One year out, there was a lot of hope. I mean, it was a great celebration. Everybody got together and recognized, held hands, broke bread together, had drinks together. There was probably 3,000 people at this little get together. So that was very heartwarming. And I think there's plenty of hope for everybody post disaster.
Our regrowth has come further than I thought it would. We're just a small spot on the map. Our hearts are big. We're back up and we're fighting strong.
So I am looking forward to our discussion after this. I'd love to hear your reactions to these videos. But what can we take away from these stories from Mexico Beach? Well, for one, you need to have a plan, a disaster plan, and healthcare support from your employees, your property, equipment, records. everything you should be thinking about, and what are essential to getting your doors back open quickly. And the disaster plan is not only for hurricanes, it covers all sorts of disasters like fire, flood, you name it. And it's important to realize that you have your business, and there should be a plan to prepare for that, but also your home and your family and your employees also have their family and things to be thinking about as the storm's coming. So it makes it so much easier to know that you have a plan in place. When you get that notice from the news that you have a week out or even days sometimes that there's a storm coming, you can just activate that plan, and everyone has already hopefully tested it and is familiar with it, has read it, and it's being updated annually. That will help you when it comes to preparing your business in advance of the storm. About is how a disaster can impact the supply chains you may rely on to operate your business. We're seeing this now with the COVID-19 disaster. We have empty shelves in the grocery stores. It's difficult to buy certain things that are shipped from other parts of the world. The same thing could happen after a storm where we have damaged bridges and transportation systems, but you can take steps today to build resilience in your supply chain. Here I list a few tips and remind you to be creative and think through all of the possibilities of continuing your business. You may see yourself having to adapt and relocate. Saw this gentleman in the video had to move his business from a restaurant to a food truck while he rebuilt. But a few of these tips, make sure that you're aware of what sort of products and services are essential to your business. If those products or services were to fail, you would no longer be able to operate. So maybe there are secondary suppliers that can help reinforce those points of failure. Service level agreements are a tool that can help with those critical supplies or services. In SLA with the supplier, they guarantee a certain level of service given a disaster scenario. So those are useful tools to look at. You'll want to coordinate with other businesses. There may be the opportunity to share inventory if you're low on something, but the business down the street is able to lend a hand, and you can work it out after the disaster scenario has passed. There's the ability to lend help in terms of staff to get through these sorts of situations, and I encourage everyone to be thinking through and being creative to think through these different types of possibilities. The third point, you can establish partnerships with other businesses and that's resources, organizations like your chamber, being very familiar with the types of resources that are available to small businesses and medium and large scale businesses throughout Hillsborough County and the Tampa area. Have you identified another location that could house your business? It really depends on the type of business that you have, but I think that there are, and we see it now with COVID-19, there are businesses that are adapting and thriving in some ways because they've been able to continue to operate their business creatively. Maybe they're selling products that they didn't expect to be selling, masks, for example, or hand sanitizer for bruising, changing some of their capacity to be able to produce hand sanitizer. What sorts of ways can your business adapt if it were to be faced with this type of disaster scenario, a very strong hurricane? And then, just one moment. And then finally, very importantly, evaluate and improve. Just this hurricane season, we've had a few close calls, or we've seen other areas be hit by storms. We can try to learn from these experiences. I include a few critical questions to be thinking about as you prepare. Is your disaster plan up to date? Have you been thinking about what your plan is to evacuate if that's necessary? Preparing your physical space, your employees, your data and records. That's a key thing to be thinking about. Your physical records, your files, are they stored somewhere off-site in case there's any damage to your property? How about in the cloud, on the internet, right? Should we make sure that our critical critical to keep access after the storm. So it's important to have physical copies of things off-site, so in case we don't have power, right? And then also having backups on the cloud that you can download once power is restored. The continuity plan and like I discussed, the supply chain backups. These are things that really can help you become better prepared for a situation like this. And then insurance coverage, that's a big piece. Are there any changes needed to your insurance? You should contact your insurance company and talk with them about having the adequate level of coverage to restore your business. Your employees, do they understand what their role would be during a disaster? Do you have a way to contact them and easily communicate with them after the disaster? And if we can learn from COVID, if there were any delays in reopening, or if you've experienced flooding in your area, or anything that's caused you to close your business, and why? What was the key problem here, and what can we learn from that? So if we had to apply that in the future, we would understand and learn from that experience and fold it into our disaster plan. And finally, do we have the financial resources to weather? We all hope that we won't be have to close a business for longer than days to weeks, but if a storm like this did come through, it could be several months, it could be up to a year. So do you have the financial resources available to be closed for that long? You may be realizing some of these things as we experience COVID, and we're learning from COVID and preparing our businesses for all sorts of disasters. But what types of resources are available out there to help us in terms of disaster locally, state, and federally? Excuse, my dog is around. So resources to prepare your business. I gave you a lot of things to be thinking about, but I want to give you some concrete resources that you can take home and really start to absorb this information and prepare your business for a type of hurricane like this. So there are a ton of great resources. I recommend your chamber as the first place to look. They have a great website, southtapachamber.org/hurricane-resources. There's a lot of great website links to local, regional, state, and federal resources to help you prepare and listed on the slide are other resources I can recommend, including the state's Division of Emergency Management website, floridadisaster.org. There's the Regional Planning Council's website. Our website, tampabayprepares.org, includes a lot of preparedness materials and some small business continuity planning materials available also. We have FEMA and Hillsborough County. They both have really great disaster preparedness guides and the Ready Business Hurricane Toolkit. Those are available on their websites. And then Resilience in a Box, which you'll be hearing about later throughout our sessions in this workshop. I believe it's tomorrow's session with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I definitely recommend that you stick around for that. That is a great first place to start and to think about not only hurricanes, but all sorts of disasters and how you can become more resilient. And for Project Phoenix, we intended to host a 4-hour tabletop exercise this year, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we can't have large gatherings. So we are adapting, and we are trying to present these materials in different ways. Our goal is to share these resources and the videos with up to 500 small businesses from throughout the region. So we thank you for listening in today, and we hope that you're thinking more deeply about your business's disaster plan and feel empowered to take the next steps to better prepare your business. And I encourage you to check out our website, where you can download all of these materials and learn about things in more detail, find important information on how to create continuity plans, evaluate your insurance needs, and protect your business's property and facilities. And with that, I look forward to our Q&A session and any discussion.
Well, this was incredible information. And for our attendees who are here today, if some of this is the first time that you're hearing this or seeing these presentations, our staff has had a little preview over the past several months. I know this is heavy. information, especially for a Monday morning. But it is so incredibly important. And as we have spent the last 6 months having really in-depth one-on-one conversations with business owners as they're going through the global pandemic, resulting in this economic crisis that we're now in. I mean, these are the exact conversations that we've been having, are how are people prepared for what comes next? And one of the questions that people continue to ask us is, how has the chamber been so quickly able to pivot during this time? And it wasn't because I just woke up in the middle of the night and had all these great ideas to be able to do it. It's because we've been preparing for several years for this. So we went through a certification process with the Florida Association of Chamber Professionals back in 2017, which really helped us to lay the groundwork for making sure that we had a crisis plan in place in order to survive what could have been Hurricane Irma. When we did end up with employees that were working from 4 different states because we had all evacuated and couldn't get back to Tampa, even though the hurricane ended up not being a direct hit. And then what we learned from that experience is what enabled us to be able to quickly pivot and make changes to our business and our operations during the pandemic. And so this is just incredible information that even if it's not the Phoenix, even if it's not that category 5, there's so many other unknown variables that can impact business owners, from a weather event to just, you know, any type of global or economic crisis. And so thank you all so much for putting the work into this in this presentation to be able to kind of open our eyes to see the areas where we're most vulnerable. And so thank you so much to the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council for your partnership on this. And I know there's some great questions that have been put in the chat, so I'm going to turn it over to Bo, our membership manager, now to lead a facilitated discussion for the remainder of our time this morning. And I look forward to seeing all of you again tomorrow morning as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. And again, just to echo Kelly, being in the panhandle this past week, it's a real scenario. You know, you guys gave out some great information, and I know that our members are definitely going to benefit from it. Right now, we have no questions in the chat. So if you do have a question, those that are still on with us, please do post them in the chat, and I'm happy to read that out here to the Regional Planning Council for them to answer that for you.
I do see there's a few people that were asking specific to the website links, and just for all of our attendees today, there's going to be an email coming out from Erica within minutes of this presentation, and she will include for you the links as well as the slides from today, and then we're going to have a video from the presentation that'll be posted probably sometime later this week as well.